Yo, Atlanta is shaking right now. Tamar Braxton is back in the headlines, and this time, it's not about music or family drama, it's about a violent late-night showdown that allegedly involves Yandy Smith and her husband Mendeecees. What started as a few whispers about some too close for comfort flirting turned into flashing police lights, hospital visits, and rumors that Yandy pulled up after catching wind of Tamer and her man together. The streets are talking. Blogs are going crazy. Fans are connecting the dots like detectives. And this story? It's way bigger than reality TV drama. It's real life, messy, and dangerous. Buckle up, because this is the kind of tea that can break the internet. Before we dive in, this is a fictionalized drama script inspired by online rumor dynamics. All names, events, and details below are invented. Any resemblance to real people or incidents is coincidental. It started the way most Atlanta nights do, too loud to think and too bright to hide. Velvet 12 was pulsing like a heartbeat, neon strobes slicing through cigar haze, bottle girls weaving past velvet ropes with sparklers raised like tiny torches. Tamer Blaze slid in just before midnight, shades on indoors, honey blonde bob sharp as a threat. People turned their heads the way they always did for her, quick, hungry, pretending not to stare. 10 minutes later, Marcus Dees Harrington drifted in with a small entourage, the kind of man who didn't rush for anyone and still never kept people waiting. The room felt smaller when he stopped at Tamar's table. It didn't read like networking. It didn't read like business. It read like two suns choosing to orbit each other instead of the room. Tamara leaned in first, that easy shoulder tilt she used when she wanted the world to think you were the only one in it. Dees stayed put, cool but not distant, mouth crooked in a half-smile like he'd been expecting her all night. Their heads touched once, barely, and that was all it took. A ripple went through the section. Someone at the bar lowered a phone behind a mixed drink. Someone else used the front camera as a mirror and tapped record. In this city, nothing is private, it's just pre-viral. 10 songs came and went. Every time the DJ ran a classic, their table lifted with it, laughing, singing the hook, shoulders rocking in sync like they'd been practicing. By 1 a.m. the narrative had already started writing itself. "They are locked in," a promoter whispered, like he'd discovered fire. Tamara stood, said something to her friend Alfonso under the music, and glided for the door. Alfonso, loud, opinionated, loyal as a pit, angled his keys with a look that said not tonight. Dees peeled off a separate exit 3 minutes later, casual enough to pretend it wasn't coordinated and deliberate enough to promise that it was. Outside, cameras warmed up like engines. Alfonso's sedan rolled first. A matte SUV tucked in behind it. Nobody rushed. That would be admitting there was something to chase. Tamara's building sits on a quiet block that pretends it's not in the middle of a city. The concierge knows her playlists by heart and which flowers she's allergic to. As the garage swallowed Alfonso's car, the SUV idled on the street like it had errands to run in the morning. Upstairs, the plan was small. Music soft and glass clink softer. 3 friends who'd outlived too many news cycles to be impressed by the sight of each other anymore. Tamara kicked off her heels with the sigh of a woman who earned the right to be carried sometimes and stood barefoot in her kitchen anyway. No one to carry her, no one she'd let. If Dees came up at all, it was as a joke wedged between traffic and the DJ's set list. No one said a fare out loud. You don't name storms before the windows rattle. Atlanta has a way of bending time around moments. In the hours that followed, the night stopped being a party and turned into something unplaceable. Later, everyone would try to reconstruct it from scraps. A dropped glass that sounded like a gunshot, a knock that wasn't a knock, a text that didn't get sent. In the version with the fewest lies, Tamara laughed at something Alfonso said, slipped toward the hallway for a charger, and the universe split on a hairline crack. The next memory she owned was metallic, blood and battery acid, light strobing against her lids in red blue. Alfonso's voice punched through the static. Then the elevator. Then the sirens. By sunrise, the city had rearranged itself into teams without waiting for facts. Someone posted a clip of Tamara leaning on Dees at Velvet 12. Someone else circled their knees touching with a digital highlighter. The captions did the rest. In group chats and private stories, the timeline grew legs. They left together. He followed her home. Something happened upstairs. No one wrote the word confrontation, but it soaked every sentence. In this town, Love and Roth share a front porch. Both wear house shoes. Tamara's team tried to move faster than the story. By late afternoon, a publicist's statement hovered like a damp towel. Tragic household accident. Privacy while recovering. No further comment. It read like a door closing gently that everyone planned to kick open anyway. As the press note made its rounds, another post dropped from Tamar's official page, a trailer from her upcoming visual project cut with quick flashes, a car door, a staircase, a hand on a railing, a shadow you couldn't place. Fans who wanted to be distracted said wow. Fans who wanted blood said convenient. The clip trended for the same reason car crashes slow traffic for miles. You don't want to see anything. You don't want to miss it. Alfonso went quiet, which is how the internet learned to listen louder. He posted a selfie from Miami with the ocean behind him and comments turned it into geography. Wasn't he in Atlanta? Is the timestamp off? Did he leave after? When he finally answered a DM with a heart and a love you, diehard sleuths translated it into a confession he never wrote. That's the trick of public pain. Strangers form a choir and sing your confession for you. Meanwhile, the story sprouted a different branch. 2 days earlier, Dees had toasted his wife, Yora, at a small dinner that looked like a magazine spread. Chalkboard name cards, low candles, a violinist who played R&B like a rumor. 20 years of knowing you, he said, voice thick as molasses. 10 married. You're my foundation, my finish line. Somebody's cousin. Recorded the whole thing from behind a bouquet. When it resurfaced that morning, the comments knifed through the sentimentality. Foundation. Then why follow another woman's car? Finish line. Then why start a new race? The internet loves vows as raw material. It can stitch them into a crown or noose by lunchtime. By twilight, reporters had drifted to Tamar's block on the whisper of sirens someone swore they heard the night before. The building's glass facade reflected a hot pink sky like a bruise turning lavender. A woman in workout leggings filmed herself jogging past and posted it with a caption that treated proximity like proof. I'm literally here, it's bad. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was. The point wasn't whether anything was true. The point was how true it felt. Tamer awoke into the kind of pain that reduces you back to the facts you can grip. Light. Beeping. The ache. Total. She took stock, intact here, split there, the missing piece of a smile she'd sold for a decade. When the nurse asked if she wanted to call someone, she chose a number she hadn't dialed since Christmas. Her mother said her name like prayer and warning both. The call didn't last. Love doesn't always. It just leaves a mark where it tried. Back online, the theories hardened into architecture. A thread with 40,000 likes mapped a minute-by-minute timeline like a crime novel without a detective. Someone insisted a neighbor saw flashing lights. Someone else said they heard a woman's voice outside the door, low and lethal. An audio clip, pure hallway hum, got uploaded and captioned. You can hear her. You couldn't. People did anyway. That's how belief works when it's dressed like entertainment. By midnight, the city had become a jury with no judge. Dees fan pages called it a smear, Tamar's called it survival. The corner of the internet that still believed in vows wrote think pieces about boundaries and the sanctity of kitchens. The corner that preferred chaos asked for the elevator footage like ordering dessert. In rooms with the lights off, friends of friends admitted what no one could post. We don't know what happened. It felt like the most honest sentence anyone had said all day. Upstairs, in the quiet that hospitals perform like opera, Tamar's phone buzzed itself off the tray. She wanted to type something clean and final. I'm okay. Let me heal. Stop guessing. But words have never behaved for her on command. She opened notes instead and stared at her own voice in black and white. It sounded like someone she used to be, before the game required her to feed it pieces of herself to keep playing. She closed the app. Sometimes the bravest story you can tell is the one you don't. Her window framed the city like a promise and a dare. She thought about the way Velvet 12 had held them an hour too long and how a look can become a plot if enough witnesses agree. In another version of the night, she and Dees could have laughed, walked out separate doors, and let the rumor wilt in the dark. In this one, a line got crossed that no one could find anymore, because the floor where it used to be was slick with everything that followed. Morning would arrive with its teeth bared, statements drafted, narratives calcified, a new batch of strangers waking up certain about a story they hadn't been in the room to hear. Tamara pressed the call button for more ice and ate the silence like a sacrament. If there was going to be a next move, it would have to be hers. If there was going to be a truth, it would have to survive the way lies dance when they think the band belongs to them. And if this was the opening chapter of a saga she never auditioned for, then at least she could choose where to hold the camera when the second scene began. The city didn't sleep after that night. It simmered. Rumors in Atlanta don't rest. They grow teeth. And by the second day, this wasn't just a whisper about Tamer and Mendeecees. It was a full-blown scandal marching through every timeline, voice note, and group chat like a rumor with a megaphone. You could feel the shift before the headlines even hit. The blogs smelled blood, the fans smelled drama, and people who'd never met either of them were suddenly acting like eyewitnesses. The first thing that broke the quiet was the footage. A grainy 32-second clip, shot from a low angle outside Velvet 12, caught them leaving. Tamer in the front passenger seat of Funky Dineva's car, Mendeecees' SUV sliding out of the parking lot right behind. It wasn't scandalous by itself. No kissing, no touching, nothing illegal. But the internet doesn't need evidence. It just needs a frame. Within an hour, captions like "caught leaving together eyes" and "not just industry friends anymore" were stamped on the clip like a court ruling. By noon, it was on every gossip page from Atlanta to LA. And then came the comments. Thousands of strangers painting entire storylines out of blurry pixels. Yandy can pull up for real skulldut. Tamer too old for this mess. Girl, you playing with fire, messing with somebody's husband. Half the people didn't even know the full story. They didn't care. They wanted a villain, a plot twist, and a queen to defend. Yandy Smith's name wasn't officially in the conversation yet, but her face was already trending. Old clips from Love and Hip Hop resurfaced, scenes where she'd gone toe-to-toe with women over her man, scenes where she'd made it crystal clear that her marriage was off-limits. Fans were stitching her old quotes into new TikToks. You can't come for what's mine. I'm built different. Try me if you want to. And people believed her. They believed she was capable of pulling up. Then came the siren story. Someone, no one really knew who, posted a shaky video from the neighborhood near Tamer's house. In the clip, you could hear distant sirens. You couldn't see anything but a couple of flashing lights down the street. But captions did what captions always do, turned it into fact. Yandy just jumped Tamer flushed face. Ambulance outside Tamer's house after Yandy found out grimacing face. She messed with the wrong woman explosion symbol. The more the video was shared, the more the comments shaped the truth. People started talking like they were there. My cousin lives near there. A friend of a friend saw Yandy's car. Somebody heard her screaming. None of it verified, but all of it believed. While the internet was melting down, Tamer's team tried to stay ahead. Her publicist released another brief statement, clean and soft. Tamer is home, recovering from an accident. She appreciates the love and concern. No further comment at this time. But silence only makes the noise louder. Because at the same time that statement hit the blogs, an unreleased teaser for Tamer's new project suddenly dropped. It featured Mendeecees. The timing couldn't have been worse. Fans immediately labeled it a PR stunt, claiming Tamer was using the drama for promo. Girl, not releasing the video with her sneaky link in the middle of a scandal loudly crying face. This is too messy to be accidental. Funky Dineva, who had been quiet since that night, broke his silence on Instagram. He didn't directly mention Yandy or Tamer, but his message was sharp enough to cut through the noise. I don't like being collateral damage in somebody else's circus. That was all it took. His followers flooded the comments. Everyone started tagging Tamer. People began twisting his vague post into a confirmation that something dark really went down. Meanwhile, Yandy was silent. Not a word. Not a post. Not a like. And that silence spoke louder than anything. Fans started treating it like the calm before the storm. Yandy ain't say nothing yet. That's how you know she plotting. She don't talk. She pulls up. And then came the past. The internet is undefeated at digging. They started pulling up everything from her history with Mendeecees, the cheating rumors, the DMs, the prison years, the times she'd confronted other women on camera. They painted a picture of a woman who would defend her marriage like a war general. In the court of public opinion, Yandy was already guilty of pulling up before she'd even logged into Instagram. Tamer, meanwhile, was scrolling in silence. Her notifications were a storm. Homewrecker. You're too grown for this. Girl, he's married. She was recovering physically, but the internet doesn't give people space to breathe. Every second she stayed quiet, the story got bigger. Every minute she didn't clarify, the public wrote its own script. The media was circling. Talk shows were already booking panels to discuss it. A morning radio host casually said, "If this is true, I wouldn't want to be Tamer right now." Blogs were posting think pieces. YouTubers were lining up live streams. Everyone had an angle, and none of them were waiting for facts. That afternoon, an audio clip leaked. Or at least, that's what it was labeled as. It was mostly muffled shouting and a door slamming. You couldn't make out a voice clearly, but captions claimed, "That's Yandy yelling outside Tamer's house." No proof. No verification. Just noise. But noise sells. At this point, the line between truth and speculation didn't exist anymore. The story had grown bigger than the people involved. Tamer had become the other woman. Yandy was the wife who snapped. Mendeecees was the man at the center of the storm. Mendeecees himself stayed completely silent. No statement. No posts. Just quiet. But even that became a headline. Mendeecees refuses to defend Tamer or Yandy eyes. Some said he was protecting his marriage. Others said he was guilty. It didn't matter what the truth was. The internet decided silence meant guilt. The fans weren't just reacting anymore. They were investigating. People were zooming in on car headlights in the siren video, trying to prove it matched Yandy's vehicle. Others were searching property records to see if she could have even been there. Twitter spaces were going live with people calling themselves insiders. Meanwhile, the tension inside Tamer's world was growing just as fast. Her closest friends were split. Some begged her to make a statement. Others told her to lay low. Her publicist wanted her to focus on the music release. Her manager wanted her to go live and clear the air herself. But Tamer wasn't ready. She was bruised, inside and out. The world didn't care about her bruises. It cared about the drama. By late evening, Yandy posted for the first time. It wasn't about Tamer. It wasn't even about the situation. Just a black screen with white text, protecting what's mine. Always have. Always will. That single post broke the internet all over again. It was vague enough to deny, but sharp enough for everyone to read between the lines. People flooded the comments. She said what she said, fire. Tamer better duck, loudly crying face. Yandy don't play about her man. And just like that, the scandal grew another head. Tamer's silence looked like guilt. Yandy's post looked like confirmation. And Mendeecees looked like the center of a storm that nobody could control anymore. This wasn't just trending anymore. This was a wildfire. And the second night was only the beginning of the real fallout. The third day felt different, heavier, like the city itself was holding its breath. By now, this wasn't just some late-night club rumor anymore. It was a cultural event, a circus, a headline factory. Everyone had chosen a side, even people who didn't know what really happened. Team Yandy versus Team Tamer. Wife versus alleged mistress. The internet loves a war, and now, it had won. Tamer woke up to thousands of mentions, tags, DMs, and hashtags dragging her name through the mud. It didn't matter that she'd said nothing. In the digital world, silence is a confession. People were already writing their own scripts for her. She shouldn't have been in that club with somebody else's man. Yandy is about to destroy her career. Tamer better lawyer up. Her accident, her recovery, all of it was background noise now. The story had been hijacked by the narrative everyone else wanted to tell. The clip from Velvet 12 wasn't just trending anymore, it was dissected. Zoomed-in screenshots of Tamer leaning on Mendeecees were floating around with red circles and slow-motion breakdowns like a crime documentary. Some influencer even posted a 10-minute analysis of the body language between them. "Notice how she leans, and he doesn't move away," the woman said, like she was narrating a forensic case. Then came the insiders. People claiming to be friends of someone who was there. Every space on Twitter, TikTok lives, and Instagram stories had someone adding new details. One girl claimed Yandy showed up in a black hoodie. Another said she saw her car down the block. Someone else swore they heard screaming. Not one of them had proof, but proof didn't matter anymore. The story felt real, and in the world of viral drama, that's all it takes. And then Funky Dineva finally snapped. He'd been quiet, watching the storm build without saying too much. But after his inbox filled with accusations, people blaming him for covering for Tamer, for being part of the setup, for being the getaway driver, he went live. "I don't like being collateral damage in nobody's damn soap opera," he said, voice sharp. "I was just trying to make sure my friend got home safe. I didn't follow nobody, I didn't see nobody jump nobody, and I don't have time for this mess." The comments exploded. Tamer's fans flooded his chat with heart emojis, thanking him for speaking up. Yandy supporters called him a liar. The live stream went viral within minutes. Every blog had clips of him saying collateral damage on their page before the hour was up. And once again, the internet twisted his words into a brand new theory. If he didn't deny everything clearly, maybe he was hiding something. Yandy's silence remained deafening. She didn't address the rumors directly. She didn't call out Tamer. She didn't even acknowledge the storm. But the way people reacted to her quiet said everything.
Her fans treated her silence like a power move. She don't gotta say nothing.
Real wives handle things off the internet.
She's the wife.
She doesn't have to prove a thing. And then someone dug up an old love and hip-hop clip, the one where Yandy checked a woman who DM'd Mendeecees years ago.
The clip was everywhere again. "I don't play about mine," she said in it, face calm, voice firm. That one sentence was all it took for people to connect dots that might not have even existed. Yandy did it. "She been like this," people wrote in the comments.
Meanwhile, Mendeecees' name started trending.
Still silent.
No post.
No denial.
No defense.
And that silence?
It became its own monster. People said he was hiding. Others said he was guilty. Others said he was protecting his wife. One fan tweeted, "Mendeecees letting the women fight over him like a prize is disgusting." And it went viral. Then the timeline exploded again when a new audio clip leaked, or at least what people claimed was audio from the night. It was nothing but muffled sounds, a door slamming, what could have been a scream, footsteps. But the captions made it real. Yandy yelling outside Tamer's house flushed face fire. People played it over and over like detectives trying to identify a voice. TikTok creators slowed it down, filtered it, added text overlays with analysis.
It didn't matter that you couldn't actually tell if it was her.
Once enough people said it was Yandy, it became fact. Tamer saw the audio clip trending from her hospital bed. Her team begged her not to respond, to let the lawyers handle it, to stay focused on her recovery.
But inside, she was boiling.
She wasn't just being painted as a homewrecker anymore. She was being painted as the villain in someone else's marriage. The whispers about Yandy jumping Tamer were growing louder by the hour.
Even her closest friends were split. Half told her to speak up.
The other half told her to stay quiet.
But the truth? She didn't even know what speaking up would do at this point. The internet wasn't asking for facts. It wanted fuel.
As night fell, Yandy posted a single message to her Instagram story. "Protecting what's mine.
Always have.
Always will."
That was it. No names.
No faces.
No context. But everyone knew exactly who she was talking about.
That 5-second story detonated across the internet like a bomb. It was on every blog within minutes. People treated it like a confession. "She said what she said." One person commented.
"She don't play about her man," another wrote. "And Tamer?"
She sat there watching her name trend next to homewrecker, Yandy, and fight. Watching strangers laugh at her pain.
Watching people decide who she was without ever asking her.
But behind that quiet rage, something started to shift in her.
She'd been quiet for too long.
And by the time that third night ended, Tamar Braxton, bruised, dragged, and done being silent, started writing a statement of her own.
The storm was no longer just about what happened. It was about what was coming next. The fourth day didn't feel like a rumor anymore. It felt like a war.
What started as whispers in a club had exploded into an online battleground with millions of spectators, each one swearing they knew the truth. The headlines were nastier, the theories darker, and the tension between Yandy and Tamer had grown into something that felt like it could break more than just reputations. By sunrise, the internet was on fire again. A gossip blog dropped what it called exclusive new footage, a shaky, low-quality video of what appeared to be a car pulling up outside Tamer's neighborhood. The angle was crooked, like it had been filmed from behind a fence. The headlights of a black SUV flashed across the screen for less than 5 seconds. There was nothing clearly identifiable in the clip, but the caption did all the heavy lifting. Yandy pulling up on Tamer's house, eyes fire.
That was all it took.
The post hit 500,000 views in under an hour. Comment sections flooded with laughing emojis, fire emojis, and every version of "she warned her." People were tagging Yandy, tagging Tamer, tagging Mendeecees like they were watching a reality show play out live. Yandy hadn't said a single word publicly, but people treated every silence like a statement. Tamer hadn't responded yet either, but her silence was being treated like guilt.
And Mendeecees? Still nowhere to be found.
His absence was gasoline on an already raging fire. By mid-morning, major blogs were openly speculating that the two women had come to blows. Talk shows brought on self-proclaimed relationship experts to discuss whether Tamer deserved what she got. People who'd never been anywhere near either woman were posting TikToks saying, "If it were me, I'd pull up too."
The story wasn't just viral anymore. It had split the internet.
Team Yandy treated her like the betrayed queen who had the right to defend her marriage by any means necessary. They flooded her old photos with crown emojis and comments like, "Stand on business crown and don't let no one play with your house." Team Tamer, meanwhile, defended her as the one being unfairly dragged without proof. "Y'all don't even know what happened," one fan wrote. "Yandy has no right to touch her, no matter what." But those voices were being drowned out by a much louder, much messier chorus. And then came the police report leak. Someone, no one knew exactly who, posted what looked like a redacted incident report. It listed an injured female, a domestic disturbance call, and 2 unidentified vehicles at the scene. No names, no details, but the timing was explosive. People immediately tied it to the night Tamer was hospitalized. "This is it," one comment screamed. "Yandy really pulled up." There was no official confirmation that the report even belonged to this case, but by lunchtime, it was being shared like gospel. Whole Twitter threads were analyzing every line of that report like it was a smoking gun. Nobody cared about what was real anymore, they only cared about what fit the story. Inside Tamer's camp, things were tense. She hadn't wanted to talk publicly, but the pressure was closing in like a vice. Her name was trending with words like homewrecker, side chick, and fight. Every brand she'd worked with was quietly monitoring the situation. Every move she made was being tracked. Her publicist begged her to release a clean, neutral statement to stop the bleeding. But Tamer didn't feel neutral. She felt betrayed, bruised, dragged through the mud by a narrative that she never even got to speak on. Meanwhile, Yandy was playing chess. Not a single messy post. No public meltdown. Just carefully curated silence and one clean black and white Instagram story that read, "When they can't take your crown, they'll try to drag your name." The internet went feral. She talking about Tamer. She's warning her. She about to expose everything. Every word was being dissected like a clue in a murder mystery. Then, out of nowhere, a voice note leak dropped. It was less than 20 seconds long, allegedly recorded outside Tamer's house. You could hear heavy breathing, a woman yelling something indistinct, a car door slamming. You couldn't prove it was Yandy, but that didn't matter. The captions on the blogs made it real. "Listen closely, that's Yandy's voice." And with that, the timeline went nuclear. The hashtag #YandaPulledUp was trending. So was #TamerSetup. Even celebrities started weighing in with cryptic tweets. One reality star wrote, "Some folks really be risking it all over men who ain't even worth the chaos," and fans instantly tied it to this drama. Tamer sat in her living room with her phone buzzing like a hornet's nest. She didn't even have to open the apps to know what people were saying. Every friend who called was either telling her to clap back or to disappear. She wanted to scream, but she also knew one wrong word could feed the fire even more. She thought about the night in the club. How simple it felt then. The music, the drinks, the laughter. How fast that moment got turned into something monstrous. She hadn't even kissed him. She hadn't done half of what people were accusing her of. But perception is stronger than truth online. And then, as if things weren't already chaotic enough, a statement dropped from Yandy's lawyer. "My client has not and will not tolerate defamatory claims or misinformation. She stands firmly by her values and will pursue legal action against any individual or entity spreading false allegations regarding this situation." That single paragraph flipped the entire narrative again. Some said it was proof Yandy had nothing to do with what happened. Others said it was a cover-up. But the damage was already done. Nobody cared about legal language when the drama was this loud. Tamer felt cornered. For days, she'd kept quiet, trying to let the story burn itself out. But this wasn't burning out, it was growing. She'd become the villain in a story she hadn't even told. By late evening, her name was trending again, this time next to press conference and statement. Fans started speculating that she was finally about to break her silence. Comment sections were buzzing. People were either ready to crucify her or crown her. That night, Tamer drafted the post 3 times. Deleted it. Typed it again. Stared at the blinking cursor until it blurred. She knew that once she spoke, there would be no going back. Across town, Yandy posted another Instagram story. This time it was just a photo, her hand on Mendeecees' chest, both wearing their wedding rings. No caption. No words. Just a message loud enough for the entire internet to hear. The war was officially at its peak. One woman bleeding silently. One woman flexing her power. One man in the middle saying nothing at all. And the internet? It wasn't waiting for facts. It was waiting for blood. The 5th day didn't just arrive. It crashed in like a storm that had been circling for too long. By now, this wasn't a scandal people were following, it was a full-blown spectacle, the kind that eats everything in its path. Every corner of the internet was buzzing, not just gossip blogs or fan pages, but news outlets, radio shows, podcasts, YouTubers, TikTokers, even people who didn't care about celebrity drama were suddenly weighing in. Tamar Braxton's name wasn't just trending, it was everywhere. Memes, threads, clips from old interviews resurfacing. Even old grudges people had with her were being dragged into the narrative. Yandy Smith's name was right there next to hers, painted as the wife who snapped, the queen defending her throne. And somewhere in the middle, silent as ever, was Mendeecees, the man who had managed to say absolutely nothing while two women's reputations were being ripped apart in real time. The morning started with a bang, a leaked statement from an anonymous source claiming to have seen everything the night Tamer was injured. The post appeared on a major gossip page with millions of followers. It didn't offer a single shred of verifiable proof. But it didn't need to. Yandy pulled up around 2:30 a.m. She was furious. Tamer didn't expect it. Funky Dineva had already left. Mendeecees tried to calm her down, but it was too late. That single paragraph set the entire internet ablaze again. Everyone took it as fact, not rumor. Within an hour, hashtags like #Yandy pulled up and #Tamer got caught were trending again. People started treating it like a scene out of a soap opera. Fan edits popped up, dramatic background music, screenshots from the night, fake breaking news graphics. The real story was already buried under the internet's fantasy version. Tamer hadn't spoken a single word publicly, but the world had already convicted her. The insults were brutal. Homewrecker. Clout chaser. She deserved it. The ugliness was relentless, and the silence from Mendeecees only made it worse. It didn't help that Yandy's team was moving strategically, staying vague, posting cryptic messages that the internet turned into daggers. At 11 a.m., a press alert went out. Tamer's team would be addressing the situation. No details. No time. Just a vague promise of answers. That was enough to send everything into overdrive. Comment sections exploded with predictions. Some expected tears. Others expected denial. Others wanted her to name names. Across town, Yandy posted yet another Instagram story. A simple photo, her hand gripping Mendeecees' hand, their rings shining. No caption. No words. The internet didn't need a caption. It already wrote the story for her. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Tamer was done holding her tongue. She'd been quiet, trying to heal, trying to protect her dignity, but quiet hadn't protected her. It had made her an easy target. She'd watched people who'd never met her destroy her name in the comments. She'd watched blogs profit from a pain they didn't even understand. She'd watched a marriage she wasn't even involved in be turned into a weapon against her. She looked in the mirror that morning, still bruised, still swollen, still healing, and made a decision. If the internet wanted her to speak, then she was going to speak. Not to play the game, but to burn the script they'd written without her. By early afternoon, Tamer went live. No glam. No filters. Just her, sitting on her couch, looking exhausted but steady. The viewer count shot past 100,000 in minutes. People had been waiting for this like it was the season finale of a show. She started slow. "I've been quiet for a reason," she said. "Because sometimes when the whole world's talking, the best thing to do is listen. But I've been listening to lies. Lies about my name. Lies about my character. Lies about something that happened to me when I was at my most vulnerable." The comments section exploded, thousands of people flooding in at once. Tamer didn't cry. She didn't yell. She kept her voice low, controlled, measured. "I did not have an affair with that man. I didn't sleep with him. I didn't cross any line. Yes, we were at the same club. Yes, we talked. But what y'all are saying happened. It didn't." People clipped it live, already turning her words into posts. Some believed her. Others didn't care. They'd already decided what was real in their heads. Then she addressed the night directly. "What happened to me that night is something I wouldn't wish on anybody. I almost died. And while I'm sitting here trying to breathe again, people are turning my pain into entertainment. Y'all built a whole TV show off my blood." Her voice cracked on that last word. Not like a performance, but like someone finally breaking open after being silent too long. Meanwhile, Yandy's camp didn't wait long. 10 minutes after Tamer's live started trending, Yandy posted a quote to her story. "A guilty conscience speaks the loudest." No name attached. No explanation.
but everyone knew exactly who it was aimed at.
Tamer's comment section filled with new attacks. The internet took sides harder than ever. #Team Yandy versus #Team Tamer was now a war zone. But here's the thing about going viral, nobody controls it.
Not Tamer. Not Yandy. Not even the blogs.
And by evening, the story took an even stranger turn. A neighbor came forward with a completely different version of the night.
They claimed they didn't see Yandy at all.
"I saw 2 cars," the neighbor said in a video interview.
"I heard yelling. But I never saw Yandy.
I don't even know if it was her."
That tiny interview was enough to throw everything into chaos again.
Some fans screamed, "See, she's lying." Others said, "That doesn't mean anything. She could have been there before."
Nobody really knew the truth anymore.
The story had grown too big, too loud, too warped to hold a single version of events. Mendeecees finally broke his silence, but not in a statement. He was spotted at a gym, smiling for photos, completely unfazed.
And that made people even angrier.
Tamer's fans accused him of being a coward. Yandy's fans said his calmness meant nothing happened. The 5th night ended the way it began, with noise. Tamer's live replayed across every platform. Yandy's posts were turned into weapons.
The neighbor interview sparked new arguments. Nobody could tell where the truth ended and the performance began. But Tamer was different now. The fear that had kept her silent was gone. Her words were out there.
Whatever happened next, she wasn't going to let strangers own her story anymore. And as the clock ticked past midnight, it was clear, this wasn't the end of the scandal.
This was just the beginning of the fallout.
Phew, y'all. This entire saga went from whispers in a nightclub to a full-blown cultural storm that nobody can turn off now. What started as one night out turned into accusations, leaks, sirens, cryptic posts, and a digital war between 2 powerful women, with the internet deciding who's guilty before the truth ever had a chance to speak. Tamer finally broke her silence, Yandy doubled down with quiet power, and Mendeecees stayed silent in the eye of the storm. But at the end of the day, this isn't just a messy headline. It's a reminder of how fast a single moment can spin out of control when millions of eyes are watching.
It's about power, reputation, marriage,
survival. So let's talk about it, eyes. Do you think Yandy really pulled up that night, or has the internet built a story that doesn't exist?
Do you believe Tamer's side, or do you think there's more to this than anyone's saying?
And what about Mendeecees? Is silence really innocence, or something else entirely?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Let's hear your take, but keep it real. And if you love these deep dive breakdowns where the drama, the whispers, and the receipts collide, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Because in this game, the internet doesn't wait for the truth.
It writes its own story.